Hello, friends. Welcome to the 2022 School District of Palm Beach County Virtual Technology Conference. My name is Alex Masuga. I am the newest member of the Educational Technology team here at the School District of Palm Beach County. I'm super excited to be the presenter for this Technology is Lit presentation. We're very excited to get this going. So before we start, again, like you've seen before, we're going to do some housekeeping slides. So if you'd like to share on social media all of your channels that you have, make sure that you tag EdTechPBC. Do the @EdTechPBC on any of your social media channels. You can also use the hashtag PBCTechConf. If you'd like to interact with some of the members that are viewing this presentation, you can certainly use the chat bar on the right-hand side of the screen. While you're sharing all those things on your social media channels, we'd like you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channels and to our Twitter feed. We'd love to have you do that. Also on the right side of the screen, if you see a wrench next to the person in the chat box, they're a moderator of the chat. So we're super excited that you've made it to session C. So now without further ado, I'm going to jump ahead to our presenter. Let me bring her up on the screen for you. I'd like to present to you and introduce Alysha Severin. She's going to be our presenter today for the cool, very cool Technology is Lit session. So with all that being said, I'm going to turn the show over to her and get her going.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name, like Alex said, is Alysha Severin. I'm currently a single school culture coordinator at Orchard View Elementary School in Delray Beach. That's in Palm Beach County. And I was a classroom teacher for a number of years. I taught first grade, I taught fifth grade. I am a Google certified educator and a teaching with technology trailblazer. So I actually became both of those things right before the pandemic, and they helped me a lot with trying to teach using technology in the classroom and out of the classroom when we were virtual. So I'm just going to present to you and show you some of the things that I did as a classroom teacher using technology that helped me to keep my students engaged while I was trying to teach literacy at that time. So here's our agenda for today. We are going to go over some Google apps and how I use them to help teach literacy in the classroom. I'm also going to go over using Nearpod with the interactive lessons, and something new I actually learned this year was using Canva to create some student-friendly worksheets, anchor charts, posters, those types of things. Okay, so first let's go over the Google apps that I have planned for us today with some engagement strategies on how to use them. The first one I want to go over with you guys is Google Slides, and I'm sure that we've probably at this point throughout the pandemic have used Google Slides, but I'm just going to show you how I use them, and so maybe give you some ideas of how you could also use them in your own classrooms. So one of the first ways that I used them was daily slide decks. And with those daily slide decks, I could embed timers. I could embed a landing page that had visuals and pictures of what the expectations were for the students. And I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples that I created that I had in my classroom. Here's one slide that I used for a turn and talk in my classroom. I would pull up this slide, go over I used champs in my classroom, so I would go over my champs expectations with them. I had a visual here that showed what activity they were supposed to be doing, and I had my 1-minute timer for them to be able to follow that had a gentle alarm at the end so that they could know when time was up. Here's another example, same thing, but this one was for independent writing. So I have another timer here, a little bit of a longer timer. Again, that visual to show the students what they were supposed to be working on or doing. And then again, the champs expectations in the classroom. And then this was a landing page that I used for my small group rotations. So I had my different groups at the top. We had an animal theme, I guess, this year. So we had different animal groups and then a picture to show what each group was supposed to be working on for that time. I had my small group champs on the side. I had 2 timers during this school year because I had 1 timer to give them a minute for transitioning into their next activity. I used this with first graders. Sometimes it took them a little bit longer to transition from one activity to the next. So they had 1 minute to clean up and go to their next activity, and then 18 minutes in that small group time. All right, so again, with Google Slides, I also did some literacy practice activities that I had either created myself or created with my grade level team, or resources that we had obtained, and we digitalized them and put them into our Google Slides. So here is one example that I'll go through and show you. And so this was something that I created to put as a student assignment. And so the student would get a copy of this, and their directions are to read the passages and practice the sound. So if they go to the first slide, they're practicing sight words, they're practicing fluency, they're practicing that short A sound, and they're also practicing comprehension, because the next slide is a comprehension question where they would have to click in the yellow box to add text and answer the question. What animal is Matt? He is a cat. So they would type in cat. And then they had different passages throughout this entire slide, a couple different passages. I have another example of something that I used in the classroom. This was a CVC word building activity. So in this activity, this one is like really long, very, very long. And so what I did was I would say, okay, today you're working on slides 2, 3, and 4. Tomorrow, and then the next day it would be slides 5, 6, and 7. So I would assign it to them which ones I wanted them to work on. So this example, we would do sounding out the words, right? This was a phonics activity. So this is a picture of a bag. So they would sound out b, ag, and look for the letters to match. And they would click and drag the letters into the boxes that they belonged in to spell it out. And it automatically saves for them, so they didn't have to worry about saving it, and they just go to the next slide. And I was able to monitor their progress with Google Classroom, which is something that I'll talk about in just a little bit. So those were those 2 activities. Well, thank you. Those were those 2 activities there. Our next activity, or our next app that we want to talk about, are Google Docs. So for Google Docs, I use it a lot for writing pieces. And there are 2 ways that the students can write in a Google Doc. They can manually type it in, or if you work with very young students, it might be kind of difficult for them, so they could use what's called the voice typing tool. And I'm going to show that to you right now. So I created writing templates, and I also created editing tasks for the students to be able to work on in these Google Docs. So let's look at a writing template. Okay, so this is an example of a writing template where they would put their name. Here's their goal. I can write a story. I put a box in the document for them so that they could draw a picture in here after I printed their writing piece. So they would type it in using either manual typing or the voice typing tool. They would type it in, and then I would print it for them, and they could draw their picture. So in Google Docs, there is a tools tab at the top. So they would click tools, go down to the microphone. I would always tell them go down to the microphone, and it says voice typing. So if they click voice typing, a big microphone pops up. When they click on it and it turns red, that means that it's recording what you're saying. When it is not red, that means it's not recording anything at that time. So they could type into it, they could draw the picture after I printed it, and then they could have a portfolio of something that they've typed up. And I use the voice typing tool a lot with the younger kids. The older kids are a little bit more able to type manually. But that voice typing tool is not only great for the younger kids, it's also really great for our English language learners. Now let's look at the next document that I made, which was a revise and edit task. So in this one, I actually wrote a couple of sentences here, and then I made mistakes on purpose. And so the students had to go in and they had to correct the mistakes that were in here. They had to delete what was there and correct it to make them grammatically correct. So those are just two things that you could do with Google Docs in order to help engage the students with literacy and using technology to engage them. And that's with Google Docs. The next one is with Google Forms. And Google Forms, I created quizzes and I created entrance and exit tickets. And I have two examples here that I'm going to show you. So one is a character quiz. So for the character quiz, I have questions with pictures for them, and then they would need to answer the questions here. They would answer each question and then submit on the bottom. And you can see that red star next to each question means the question is required. And so they are not able to submit it without putting an answer for a question. The next one that I had was about story elements. So not just about characters, but about different story elements. And I use this in the classroom with my younger students. I read the questions and answer choices to them while they had their computer out, and they just had to click their answer and submit their form. Now, all of what I talked about so far with the Google apps, so that would be the Google Slides activities, the Google Doc activities, and the Google Forms. Those are all things that can be assigned digitally to the students in the Google Classroom. So they can complete it and submit it to you digitally as an assignment, as classwork. All that you would have to do is make sure that you select the option to make a copy for each student. So they're not all editing the same document, or they're not all working in the same document. They have their own copy. And you can also grade it right there in the Google Classroom as well. Now we're going to move on from Google and we're going to go into Nearpod. Now, before we start with Nearpod, I do want to put a little disclaimer here that the full version of Nearpod was purchased through the multicultural department. So the full version of this program is not available district-wide. However, teachers can access a free limited version if they don't have access to the full version. So Nearpod is a database of interactive lessons that can be used to go along with the lessons that you're teaching actively in the classroom. We're going to look at the website and we're going to take a look at my Nearpod library, but it includes lessons, games, those kinds of things. You can use it for assessments and much, much more. So let's take a look. So this is my current Nearpod library of things that I've saved, that I've done. As you can see, I have some things on here from Benchmark even. I know that Benchmark is being used a lot, so I have some things on here from Benchmark. And I have some activities, games, lessons, those kinds of things. One that I really wanted to show you today is this Time to Climb, because I think it's a great way to engage the students with literacy here. Before I show you the actual activity, I want to show you how you can have your students access the activity. There's two options. You can have live participation with you there in the classroom, or you can do student paced. So if you do student paced, you can have a link to it and you can put it in your Google Classroom. You can use it through the Remind app. You can embed it into even a Google slide or a document. You can just copy the link and send it out. There are different ways that you can do it. And that's for if you want it to be student paced. Now, if you want to do live participation in the classroom, then you would click live participation. That's with your students there in front of you. So if you're doing live participation, you would want all of your students should be able to log into Nearpod themselves, and then they would need to type in this code. Once they type in this code, they get access to the actual activity. And you can even create settings for the activity. You can make it be at the beach or the carnival, whichever you want. Now, I'm going to go back and I want to show you the student view of what that activity looks like. So this is what the students see when they log into it. And then they would answer the questions themselves. So it would say, choose the word with the short A sound, and they'd have to click. And they earn points in this specific activity. They earn points as they go through. So they would have to click for the short A sound or click for whichever sound it is. There are other ones, short O, short U, short E. But here it's a short A, so they would have to look at the different pictures and click which one has a short A sound. And then they'd go to the next question and go to the next question continuously. And like I said, this is something that can be used for an entrance ticket, an exit ticket. It can be used as like a mini assessment just to see where they're at with their short A sound or another phonics type of activity. So you could use it either way. So that is Nearpod. And the last software that we're going to talk about today is Canva, which is something that I actually started using this year. And Canva can be used to create different worksheets, different posters. They have a lot of templates, a lot of logos that can be used. I included some examples of things that I've created already this year. And then we're going to take a look at the website and look at some of those examples. So this is Canva, and I typically go to the templates when I log in here, but you can also start a design from scratch. If you look up here in the top right corner, it says create a design. So you could look at it, you could start from scratch up there. But if you want to start from a template to get some ideas, I go to templates on the left side and I click on education because that's my field. And they have different ones. They have classroom posters, they have worksheets, things like that. Let's look at classroom posters just to look for an example. So here we have some classroom poster. We have classroom rules. We have reminders. We have welcome signs, class announcements, birthday celebrations. These are all classroom posters that can be used in the classroom. Let's look at the worksheets. So here are the worksheets that they have available. And again, these are templates that can be edited. You don't have to use them the way that they're shown on here. You can edit them and make them your own to fit your classroom. They have a daily reflection log, science, an all about me for beginning of the school year. There's many different ones. You have a parent survey. You can do bingo for in the beginning of the year when your students are getting to know each other. All right, so now I'm going to show you the examples of things that I've created. So here is a narrative writing checklist that I created with Canva. So I put like a little picture, a little logo of a pencil there. I did, beginning, middle, end, editing, and they're check boxes so that the student can check them off after when they're evaluating their own writing pieces. Then I created character traits and their synonyms. I think this was the first thing that I created in Canva, actually, with synonyms for the word mean, synonyms for the word happy. We know we have those students that, they just use the words that they know. They don't know these other words mean the same thing, so that they can use different words: excited, content, delighted. And I put two sides. So there's mad, there's smart, and then there's all other synonyms there. So they could have some examples of some different words to use. And then here is my last example from Canva. I created a essay planning guide for them to use for their argumentative essays. And I created it at 3 different levels. One of the levels is for 3rd grade, and then we have 4th grade with 2 reasons, and then 5th grade with 3 reasons. But it doesn't only have to be used for grade level. It can be used for the level of support that the student needs. So if you have a student who is in 5th grade, but maybe they're very far behind grade level and you need a starting point with them, maybe have them start with just 1 reason. And then as they get more into the writing process and get used to the writing process, then they move on up to 2 reasons. And it can continue on in that way. So those are the different resources that I've created in Canva so far. I'm hoping to use a lot more of Canva this year. So yes, Canva is free for teachers, for educators. All you need to do is make sure you sign up with your school district email. Yes, you do need to use your teacher's email to sign up for Canva to get it for free. All right, and so that would be the end of my presentation. Again, my name is Alysha Severin. I'm a single school culture coordinator at Orchard View Elementary School. My email is on the screen. It's alysha.severin@palmbeachschools.org. I want to open up the time for questions at this time so I can answer any questions you may have. And if you think of any questions past today, feel free to email me. That's why I wanted to go ahead and put my email up there on the screen. But I'd love to take some questions now if we have any. You all are very welcome. Thank you guys so much for attending this session. I really appreciate all of the participation and all of the comments on the screen. I did see on the side one person was saying they got a message to request access to the Google Slides. I will make sure that those Google Slides are open to anyone with the link. So I'll make sure that that gets changed for you guys. So make sure to check back at the end of the day. Any other questions?
Yes. Any other questions for Alysha? All right. I'd like to join the whole crowd here in saying thank you so much, Alysha, for presenting today. That was an awesome presentation. We really appreciate it on behalf of the EdTech team. So with that being said, let's wrap this up a little bit. Let's talk about the rest of our agenda today. We've made it through the 3 sessions. It's been a great morning, a phenomenal day. If we look at the rest of our agenda, you can see we just finished session C. There's going to be some time at 12 o'clock to do some more Kumo space exploring. You can go in there and you can chat with Alysha if you'd like to do that in the Kumo space. You can also explore the exhibit hall, visit with our vendors, especially. They're the whole, without the vendors, none of this happens. So please go and spend some quality time with our vendors and chat with them about what your classroom might need. And then the most important thing, this is why we do this. This is why all of us do this, whether we're at the district or in the schools or in the classrooms. We do it for the kids. So we got a great presentation from some of our students at 12:25. So we encourage you to join into that last session and listen to what our students have to say. So with that, on behalf of the educational technology team, especially me being the newest member of that team, we'd like to thank you for joining us for this session. And we'll see you all again very soon. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the conference.